I'm Marcus Ellison, 28, still living at home in Raleigh, North Carolina, trying to scale my freelance AI tools business after finishing my master's in computer engineering. Rent here's no joke lately, and working from home made financial sense. That office wasn't just a room, it was the insulated sunroom I renovated myself. I put in the hardwood, rewired the outlets, even installed custom soundproofing. For 3 years, I built my business there. Late nights, client calls, coding marathons. I paid my parents $700, 0 cents a month, plus half the groceries and most of the maintenance. Then came Kyle, 19, fresh off dropping out of his second gap year, my younger brother. 0 job history, no ambitions, unless you count yelling over Call of Duty for 17 followers on Twitch. Mom didn't even look up from her iPad when she said it. Kyle needs the sunroom now. His brand is growing. His what? I just closed a $6,000 0 cents project that covered the HVAC repair they couldn't afford last winter. No thanks, of course. Dad, munching wings on the couch, added, "Let your brother have a shot. You can set up in the basement." The basement, unfinished drywall, cold slab floor, moldy smell. I've upgraded their Wi-Fi, fixed Mom's laptop, and even replaced the porch steps last fall. I've put over $10,000, 0 cents, into this house. Meanwhile, Kyle hasn't paid a dime. But he grinned, like he'd won. He always gets what he wants, the special treatment, the coddling. I made Dean's List, they blinked. He got a D+, celebration dinner. That night I smiled back, said nothing. Then quietly signed the lease on a downtown co-working loft, and called the realtor handling their mortgage. Where the Wi-Fi barely reaches and the ceiling's so low I have to hunch, that's where they expect me to move now, right next to dusty holiday decorations and a busted elliptical. But I just nodded. What else was I supposed to do? I've spent my entire life being the reasonable one while they bent over backward for Kyle. That night I sat in the sunroom, my sunroom, staring at the space I'd built from scratch. The reclaimed wood desk I'd designed, the flawless cable setup, acoustic panels I saved up to install. 3 years of labor, learning, building, all for nothing. And for what? So a teenager who couldn't even wash his own cereal bowl could yell into a mic about battle passes? Something in me just snapped. I should probably explain the Kyle situation, because this isn't just about a room. It's about years. Growing up, if I got a 93, Dad would ask why it wasn't a 98. If Kyle scraped a 70, he got ice cream and a round of applause. He just needs more support, Mom always said. Translation, I was the one they didn't have to worry about. So, they didn't. At 16, I worked weekends to afford a second-hand laptop. Kyle got the newest iPhone at 12 because everyone else had one. I earned a full ride to NC State. He failed out of Wake Tech twice, and somehow they were the ones who felt guilty. When I moved home post-grad, it was supposed to be temporary, reasonable. But I became the live-in tech guy, handyman, and financial safety net. Furnace broke, I paid. Car died, I paid. New deck, I paid, and built it. Dad loves saying, family helps family. But somehow, it always feels like I'm the only one doing the helping. That night, I couldn't sleep. Just lay there in my old twin bed staring at the ceiling, tallying every time they'd chosen Kyle over me. Every time they took from me to give to him. Every time I bit my tongue and played the part of the understanding older brother. Not anymore. The next morning I skipped breakfast. I couldn't bear to see Kyle's self-satisfied smirk, or hear Mom rattle off Pinterest ideas for his new streaming studio. Instead, I sat in my car in the driveway, scrolling apartment listings. I'd been saving for a place, but Raleigh rent's no joke lately. I figured I had another year to go, but I'd live on canned soup if I had to. I found a studio on the edge of downtown, 520 square feet, dated appliances, but it had a quiet nook perfect for my dual monitor setup. $1,300, 0 cents a month. Below market, which made me suspicious, until I saw the listing had only gone live an hour ago. First, last, and security, $3,900, 0 cents total. I had just under $6,000, 0 cents saved. Tight? Definitely. Doable? Absolutely. I sent over my credit score and business docs, got a reply within an hour. Can you come see it this afternoon? You bet I could. The place was worn but clean. Big windows. Hardwood floors. Most importantly, no Kyle. No parents guilt-tripping me over money they never repaid. I'll take it, I told the landlord, a chill older guy named Gary, who said he liked renting to people who don't throw ragers on Tuesday nights. I signed the lease, paid the deposit, and got the keys. Just like that, I had my exit strategy. When Mom texted asking me to grab groceries, I replied, sure. But I didn't get $200, 0 cents worth, just milk and eggs. The bare minimum. Hey, the printer's jammed again, Kyle called as I walked in from my evening run. Normally I'd roll up my sleeves and fix it. 20 minutes of poking around to unjam whatever label sheet or resume Mom or Kyle had mangled this time. Not today. Can't, I said. Client deadline. But your mom needs to print stuff. Bills to pay, I cut him off, brushing past on the way to my sunroom, his soon-to-be studio, apparently. I started casually sorting my equipment, not quite packing, not yet, just taking inventory. That night, the printer stayed jammed. Mom drove across town to a print shop. Dad muttered about people not stepping up. I sipped tea at my desk, wireless headphones on, working quietly, with a small, satisfied smile on my face. The next morning, Kyle cornered me in the kitchen. Hey, can you drive me to Brandon's? My car's making that sound again. His car, my old Honda. I fixed it up and sold it to him for half what it was worth. He hadn't maintained it once. Take the bus, I said without looking up. It's like 5 miles. Sounds like a you problem. 10 minutes later, Mom came in with that look. Marcus, it's just a quick ride. I've got work. You're drinking coffee. On my break, from the work that pays my bills, and apparently, everyone else's too. She blinked, stunned. She wasn't used to hearing no from me. By day 3 of Operation Take Back My Life, things were slipping. The lawn hadn't been mowed, dishes piled up, Wi-Fi was dropping. Thursday night, Dad knocked. Lawn's out of control. I glanced up. You gonna mow it? Nope. A pause. Something wrong, Marcus? You seem off. 3 years of being their handyman, tech guy, and bailout fund, and now he notices? Just busy with work, I said flatly. Well, we're family. We all need to pitch in, Dad said, standing awkwardly in my doorway. I looked up, let the silence hang, then repeated it back to him. We all need to pitch in. When was the last time Kyle pitched in for anything? When had Dad fixed something himself, instead of waiting for me to handle it? Sure, I said. I'll add it to the list. I didn't mention what list, but I was definitely keeping. The next morning, I woke to raised voices downstairs. I peeked over the stair railing just in time to catch the argument in full swing. Why do I have to mow? Kyle was whining. Your brother's busy, Dad snapped. Just do it this once. But I've got a stream scheduled. My followers are expecting me, all 38 of them, I thought. Then reschedule it. Jesus, Kyle. It's just lawn care. It felt like watching a fragile ecosystem collapse. Host organism refusing to feed the parasite. I slipped back into my room and packed another box. I'd been relocating my essentials to the studio apartment, bit by bit, slow, quiet, strategic. But the real gut punch came later that afternoon. I was finishing a client meeting when Dad knocked. Hey, quick thing, he said, not meeting my eyes. I sold your workbench. Guys picking it up tomorrow, got $300, 0 cents. My workbench, the one I hand-built for perfect ergonomics, dual monitors, cable slots. You sold my property without asking? Well, Ethan needs a streaming desk, and, since you're moving to the basement, you just decided it was yours to sell? I figured you'd be okay. It's for Kyle's career. I didn't yell. I just said, keep the money, consider it another donation to the bank of Kyle. As soon as he left, I booked the U-Haul for Saturday. By Friday night, 70% of my belongings were gone. Tech documents, clothes. On the surface, room looked untouched. But underneath, the family balance was unraveling. Fast. If you've ever been the one holding everything together while everyone else takes you for granted, you won't want to miss what happens next. Subscribe to the channel so you're the first to see how Marcus's quiet exit shakes the entire household. You won't believe who shows up next. Kyle had half mowed the yard, patches missed, edges jagged like a bad haircut. The printer still jammed. Dad tried to fix it and made it worse. Mom was getting increasingly irritable, snapping over unwashed dishes and dusty counters. I drifted through it all like a ghost. I made my own meals, cleaned only what I used. When the Wi-Fi cut out for the third time that week and Mom yelled, "Marcus, the double Wi-Fi's acting up again," I called back, "Try unplugging it." Small victories. Friday night, Dad stopped me near the kitchen. "Look, about your workbench. If it means that much, I'll call the guy back." Too little, far too late. "Don't bother," I said. "Kyle's already hyped about his new studio." Dad forced a smile. "Maybe you could help him set it up this weekend? Make it a brother thing?" Almost laughed. "A brother thing? After they took my workspace, sold my custom desk, and treated me like the household help for 3 years?" "I've got plans," I replied, walking past him. "What plans?" "My plans." He followed me upstairs. "Marcus, what's going on with you? Your mother's worried." "Your mother, not I'm worried." Classic. "Nothing's going on," I said. "I'm just setting boundaries." Boundaries? We're family. There it was. The magic word. The all-access pass to take whatever they wanted from me. "Yes, we are family," I said. "Which is why it's strange that when Kyle wants something, we support each other. But when I need something, you're an adult. Figure it out." Dad's face flushed. "That's not fair. We've supported you plenty. Name one time this past year you helped me. One time you put my needs first." He hesitated. "We let you live here. I pay rent. $850, 0 cents, plus utilities, plus groceries. I've covered emergencies, repairs, even your transmission. I'm not living here, Dad. I'm subsidizing this house." "It's ridiculous." "Is it? Tell me what Kyle's contributed." Silence. "And now you've taken the only space that was mine? Sold my workbench? So tell me again, how is this a two-way street?" Dad's face cycled through the usual. Frustration, defensiveness, and then something that looked like guilt. "We didn't think," he started. "No," I cut in. "You didn't?" I turned back to my closet and started pulling out the last of my clothes. No more hiding it. "What are you doing?" he asked, his voice suddenly unsure. "Not okay." "For what?" I met his eyes. "I'm moving out tomorrow." The look on his face was almost laughable if it hadn't been so sad. "Moving out? Where? Why didn't you tell us?" "Signed a lease last week," I said, "telling you now." "What? The basement?" "Oh, right. The plan was, I'd keep funding this house while you kept taking. That about right?" He didn't deny it. That silence said it all. "Marcus, let's be reasonable. Your mother will be upset." "I'm sure. The ATM's shutting down." He left in a daze. I heard hushed voices rising downstairs. I kept packing. Calm, steady. The storm was finally coming, and I wasn't sticking around to fix it. Saturday morning, I rolled the U-Haul into the driveway. Quietly, box by box, I carried out my things while they watched. Mom, naturally, started crying. "I don't understand why you're doing this. Why not talk to us first? Like you talked to me before taking my office?" "That's different. Kyle needed." "Kyle always needs. Kyle always gets. I'm just removing myself from the equation." Dad tried bargaining. "This is childish. Running away because you didn't get your way?" "Not running," I said, lifting my PC tower. "Moving on. Big difference." Kyle whined from the porch. "What about my desk?" "Ed sold mine, remember?" I smirked. "Sounds like a you problem." Mom trailed behind me, still teary. "I just don't understand. We're family." I stopped, set the box down, and looked her dead in the eye. "Let me make it crystal clear." I walked into the kitchen, grabbed a marker from the drawer, and a scrap of paper from the still jammed printer. In thick black marker, I wrote across the paper, Marcus's contributions, last 12 months. Rent paid $10,200, 0 cents. Utilities, tilde $1,800, 0 cents. Groceries, tilde $4,800, 0 cents. Furnace repair, $2,700, 0 cents. Dad's transmission, $1,800, 0 cents. Tech rebuild, $1,100, 0 cents, plus 80 hours of labor. Home maintenance tilde $2,400, 0 cents. Tech support, countless hours. Total, $24,800, 0 cents plus. Kyle's contributions, $0, 0 cents. Attitude, priceless. I slapped it onto the fridge with a magnet. Then I turned to Mom. That's where this is coming from. Her tears stopped mid-track. It hasn't been that much. Check my bank records, I said flatly. I kept receipts. Dad walked in mid-confrontation and read over her shoulder. I watched the blood drain from his face. The furnace wasn't that expensive. $2,700, 0 cents, I said. I have the invoice. You promised to pay me back once things settled. That was 11 months ago. They looked at each other, cornered. We meant to, Mom started. Don't, I cut in. Not even mad about the money anymore. What hurts is how I've kept this house functioning, and you still treat me like the selfish one. You always put Kyle first, every time. He's younger, Dad said weakly. He's finding his way. Well, he's 19. At that age, I worked 2 jobs, paid for my car, my phone, everything. You gave him a free ride. Because you were responsible, Mom's voice trailed off. Exactly. I was capable, so you gave me everything to carry. He was incapable, so you gave him nothing. I picked up another box. Marcus, wait, Dad said, panic creeping in. We'll fix this. Too late. Lease is signed, deposit paid. And as of Monday, my name's off the utilities. Mom paled. What do you mean? I've been covering internet, streaming, and half the power bill. I canceled or transferred it all yesterday. You've got about 48 hours to figure out new arrangements, I said, closing my laptop for the last time in that house. Kyle appeared in the doorway, finally realizing the gravity of the situation. You can't just leave, he said, panic creeping into his voice. Who's going to fix the printer? The Wi-Fi? I actually laughed. That's your first concern? Not how will we pay the bills, but who'll fix your crap for free? I brushed past him with the box and walked it to the truck. Mom followed, frantic now. Marcus, please. We didn't realize how much you were doing. We'll work something out. With what money? I asked. You guys live paycheck to paycheck. We'll figure it out, she insisted. Just don't do this. I already did. I locked the U-Haul and turned to her. I'm not asking for the money back. I'm not even asking for an apology. I'm just done being the family ATM. But what about Kyle? She asked, still centered on him, even now. What about him? He's an adult. Let him get a job. Can't find anything in his field. His field? He's a dropout who plays video games badly on the internet. That's not a field. That's a hobby. Harsh, maybe, but true, and long overdue. Dad reappeared, pulling out his wallet and offering 5 $20 0-cent bills. Here, he said. For the furnace. I looked at the money, then at him. Keep it, you're going to need it. I climbed in, closed the door. Mom was sobbing. Dad looked stunned. Kyle was texting, probably complaining about how I ruined everything. I'll call when I'm settled, I said. More than they deserved. As I pulled away, I glanced in the side mirror. They looked completely lost. The first week in my new place? Bliss. No sudden tech support calls, no guilt trip dinners, just me, my gear, and the silence of a space that was 100% mine. Mom texted the next day. The internet's not working. Did you really cancel it? I didn't reply. 3 days later, Dad called. The water heater's making a noise. YouTube has tons of DIY videos, I suggested before hanging up. By the end of the week, the texts were coming in hourly, as the printer still wasn't working. The yard was a jungle. They had no idea how to reset the router. The streaming services? Gone. Kyle's career was stalled because apparently setting up a webcam and mic was beyond him. "Can you just come over for an hour?" Mom begged. "We'll pay you." "My contractor rate is $95.00 an hour," I replied. 2-hour minimum, up front. That shut her down. For now. But the next Tuesday, exactly 10 days after I moved out, I got a panicked call from Dad at 8:33 a.m. "The furnace quit. The house is freezing." It was mid-February, lows in the 30s. "Call the HVAC company," I said. "They want $200.00 just to come out, plus parts and labor. Welcome to homeownership. Marcus, please. We don't have that kind of money right now." Of course they didn't. They'd been counting on me. "What about the emergency fund?" I asked, knowing there wasn't one. "Your mother had to use it for groceries," he admitted. Translation: they'd been living over budget for years, relying on me to quietly fill the gaps. "That sounds serious," I said, barely hiding the satisfaction. "Maybe Kyle can chip in from his streaming income." Dead silence. It's not really bringing in money yet," Dad mumbled. "Shocking." I sighed. "Text me the furnace error code." He did. I looked it up. Igniter failure. A $95.00 part plus labor. Not DIY friendly. "You've got 2 options," I told him. "Pay HVAC, or risk frying your control board and turning this into a $600.00 job. Can't you just come check it?" "I've got a deadline," I said, truthfully. "But tell you what, bring Kyle by tonight. I'll walk you through the part order and show you some tutorial videos." A long pause. Then, "What time?" 7 p.m. "And Dad, bring Kyle." If you've ever stepped back just to see who would step up in your place, hit subscribe. The next part of Marcus's story proves that sometimes the best way to teach value is absence. He should learn this stuff if he's going to keep living there, I told myself, before opening the door. That night, they showed up at my place. Dad looking awkward, Kyle even worse. First time they'd seen the new studio. Tidy, quiet, mine. "It's nice," Dad offered, eyes landing on my new desk, one I'd refinished myself after finding it on Craigslist. The old one? Sold without permission, still not forgiven. "Thanks," I said flatly. No invitation to sit. "Let's talk furnace." I pulled up the manual for their unit, showed them the exact part, where to buy it, and how to install it. Dad squinted at the screen. "I don't think I can do this." "I definitely can't," Kyle chimed in, not even pretending to care. "Then call HVAC." "Marcus, come on," Dad pleaded. "We really don't have the money. Couldn't you just—" "No." I looked him dead in the eye. "And if you say because we're family, I'm closing the door." He stopped. "Thought better of it." I exhaled. "Look, I'll fix it this one time, but after that we're having a serious talk. Full transparency, finances, responsibilities." Kyle starts pulling weight. Dad nodded quickly. "Absolutely." Kyle frowned. "What do you mean contribute?" "I mean get a job. With a paycheck. You pay rent, you do chores without being asked, and you learn to fix things, because I'm not coming back." "But streaming is a hobby, Kyle, not a career, not yet anyway. You can stream after work, like everyone else." He looked ready to argue until Dad gave him the look. He backed down. Fine. The next day, I fixed the furnace in under an hour. Then I called the first official family meeting. Laid out real numbers, income, costs, all the invisible support I used to provide. Proposed a fair household budget. Kyle's rent? $250.00 a month. "That's not fair," he whined. "I don't have money." "That's why you get a job," I said. Calm, firm, like I was talking to a child. "McDonald's is hiring, so's Target, so is every warehouse in the city." "Those aren't real jobs," Kyle muttered. They pay real money, I replied. Money you need. Mom looked like she might cry again. Marcus, he's not like you. He struggles with what exactly? I cut in. He's not disabled. He's not sick. He's a perfectly healthy 19-year-old who's been allowed to coast because it was easier than holding him accountable. To my surprise, Dad backed me up. Your brother's right, Kyle. Things need to change. The look on Kyle's face? Absolutely priceless. Total betrayal. Dad had never taken anyone's side but his. This is bullshit, Kyle snapped, rising from the table. I'm not getting some lame-ass job just because Marcus decided to be a jerk about money. Yes, you are, Dad said, voice steady, firmer than I'd heard in years. Or you're finding somewhere else to live. Holy shit, actual parenting. Kyle stormed off, door slam echoing like a cartoon. He'll calm down, Mom said weakly. And if he doesn't? I asked. Dad exhaled. Then he figures it out. We can't live like this anymore. For the first time, I believed him. What about you two? I pressed. I meant what I said. All cards on the table. I'm done carrying the weight. They exchanged a look, then both nodded. We'll figure it out, Dad said. Get on a budget. Pick up extra shifts if we have to. Good, I said, standing. I'll check in next week. As I reached the door, Mom called after me. Will you come for dinner sometimes? Not to fix things, just to visit? I paused. Maybe, once the house is in order, literally and figuratively. 3 weeks later, Kyle was working in a warehouse. Entry level, decent pay. The look on his face when he handed Dad rent? Delicious. Dad pulled out his tools, started watching DIY videos. Mom stuck to a real budget. They even started paying me back for the furnace. Small amounts, sure, but consistent. And me? I'm thriving. No chaos, no freeloaders, just peace, purpose, and proof that boundaries work. I still drop by for dinner now and then, but these days, when something breaks, I don't leap up to fix it. I sit back, watch, let Dad and Kyle figure it out. It took burning everything down to build something healthier, and I don't regret it for a second. It's been 6 months since I moved out, and honestly, the transformation is kind of shocking. Last weekend, I stopped by for our monthly family dinner, on my terms, where I'm a guest, not their handyman or wallet. The lawn trimmed, the sink empty. Kyle not glued to his gaming chair? Turns out the golden child learned some hard lessons lately. Streaming took a nosedive once he had to balance it with an actual job. 12-hour marathons don't work when you're moving pallets for 8 hours a day. He complained nonstop, Mom said. But something shifted. Got promoted to shift lead last week, Dad told me over pot roast. Youngest one they've ever had. Kyle looked sheepish at the praise. Not a big deal. More responsibility, same garbage pay. Welcome to adulthood, I said, without the edge I once had. Then came the real surprise. Mid-meal, the dishwasher made a weird grinding sound. Dad winced, then looked at Kyle, not me. Check the filter tomorrow, probably something caught in it. Kyle just nodded, like this was normal, like it had been normal. He's gotten pretty handy, Mom added, catching my surprise. After you left and the toilet broke a third time, he took initiative. YouTube tutorials. Same ones you used, Kyle shrugged. I almost fell off my chair. Later, Dad walked me to my car, handed me an envelope, $500, 0 cents in cash. It's not everything, he said, but we're putting money aside, real payments. I was stunned. For years, money only flowed one direction, out of my pocket. Thanks, I said softly. We should have done better, Dad muttered. Didn't realize how much we leaned on you until you weren't there to lean on. No excuses, just, I'm sorry. Words I never thought I'd hear. Kyle's different too, Dad said, hands in his pockets. Having real responsibilities, earning his own money. It's been good for him. Made him grow up. Better late than never, I replied, but without me carrying the load? Dad hesitated. You doing okay? Place working out? Better than okay, I said honestly. Business has doubled since I moved. Turns out when no one's draining your energy or money, you can actually build something. He flinched a little, but nodded. You deserved better from us. On the drive home, I realized my family hadn't just adjusted to my absence. They'd grown from it. Kyle was maturing. My parents were owning their financial mess, and most surprisingly, they were finally acknowledging how they'd treated me. I know some people will say I should have cut ties completely. Trust me, I considered it. And for some, that is the healthiest option. But in my case, when they showed real change and remorse, a controlled relationship felt worth trying. Your mileage may vary. A week later, I got a text from Kyle that almost made me crash my car. Hey, got a bonus. Want to pay you back for the bike Dad sold. Dick move. Venmo? I literally pulled over, checked if I was hallucinating. I sent him my info, half expecting radio silence. 10 minutes later, $300.00 appeared with a note for the bike. Sorry it took so long. It wasn't about the money, it was the acknowledgement. Even more shocking, he called. Yes, called. Asking for help building a basic budget. Warehouse is offering $401k match, he said. I should probably figure out how that works. He came over, took notes, listened. Before leaving, he paused. Your place is nice, way better than the moldy basement. Thanks, I smiled. I was a real jerk about the garage, and a lot of stuff. I didn't know how much you were doing. Water under the bridge, I said. And I meant it. Mom and Dad really miss you, he added. Not just for fixing stuff, actually miss you. I miss parts of being around, I admitted. Not the constant crisis management, but the good parts. For what it's worth, he said, I'm glad you stood up for yourself. Stuff had to change. And now, 6 months later, it has. Mom and Dad are finally budgeting, building savings. Dad's even learning home repairs. Kyle's holding down a steady job, streaming as a hobby, and eyeing college with a plan. And me? I'm dating again. Joined a climbing gym. Grew my business. All the energy that used to keep them afloat now builds my life. I don't loan money. I don't drop everything to fix their problems. But the relationship? It's grounded in mutual respect now, not obligation. It's still a work in progress, but this time it's actual progress. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is stop enabling people's worst behaviors. It's painful, messy, but if they're capable of growing, they'll eventually thank you for walking away. Mine did, and I never saw that plot twist coming. If you've ever felt taken for granted, I'd love to hear your story. Drop a comment below. Tell me how you found your voice or what boundaries changed your life. Your support reminds me I wasn't wrong to walk away. And hey, if you think I did the right thing, let me know.